Welcome to Train Like a Norseman Tuesday here at Luther College. Every Tuesday at Luther, we get together with our wrestlers and do individual training sessions with a coach, working on technical things they need to get closer to being a champion. During this series of Train Like a Norseman Tuesday videos, we're going to give you technical tips to help you become closer to becoming a champion. Today for Train Like a Norseman Tuesday, we're going to talk about some throw-bys or slide-bys, which are pretty popular in college wrestling over the last 10 years or so. And I think these throw-bys and slide-bys are really set up well by putting a lot of pressure on a guy's head. When you're smashing a guy's head all the time in a match, when you let off, a lot of times your opponent is just happy to be able to stay in a collar tie because he's used to having his head down below him all the time. So when you let off, he's probably happy just to stay there for a second. And that's when this throw-by or slide-by becomes pretty effective. So again, what we're talking about here is if I'm smashing his head the entire match, I'm working inside position, and now I let his head come up and just stay there for a second, he's probably okay just hanging on this position if I've been beating his head the whole time. And that's where this throw-by becomes effective. The first throw-by I'm going to talk about is where you come underneath and you grab your own bicep. So you've got one hand over here in a collar tie, the other hand is going to come underneath and you're going to grab your own bicep right here. That means your elbow is going to be right outside of his elbow in this position. Okay? So I'm pulling down on his head, I'm on my bicep over on this far side. Now the footwork on these throw-bys become very important. What I'm going to do is my lead leg is going to step close to Jazz, very close. The reason for this is once I start this throw-by, I'm going to be kicking my far leg around him, and I want to make sure I'm close to his body when I do that. My feet are way out here, and I start hitting this throw-by, it's easy for him to get away from. So I want to be close to his body when I start the throw-by. So I'm putting pressure on his head, get my right foot loaded up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be turning sideways. My shoulders are going from parallel to the mat to perpendicular to the mat. That's the key on these throw-bys, right here. That's the key. Shoulders are going to be going perpendicular to the mat. It's not a duck. A lot of guys that try to learn throw-bys the first time, they try to hit it as a duck. It's not a duck hunter. It's not a duck hunter. It's not this. It's not this. That's a duck hunter. And if you hit the duck, that means your shoulders never got turned perpendicular to the mat. What we're doing is we're going perpendicular to the mat, tightly. Okay? Shrugging this outside shoulder at the same time, turning your head the opposite direction of where it's facing to begin with. Okay? Right here. Now, once I start it, my shoulders start to turn, this trail leg is stepping around the back, and I hop. I hop. Right here. So this foot was facing Jazz. When I hop, it becomes turning the other direction. The other direction. So you're going to hop and turn your foot 180 degrees. Pressure down on his bicep, hop. Right here. Once I get to this point, and I get my head back around him, I want to keep everything tight up above here. Everything tight. And the one thing that I really try to emphasize with our guys is it's natural for guys to want to come around the waist right here, but it's not a good place to be. If a guy has any kind of, Granby roll or side roll, he can hit this right away. That could be in trouble. Could be in trouble. Okay? So we really don't like coming around that waist on anything that we do from our feet or on top. So instead, once we hit this throw-by, we're going to come right here to the crotch. Hips in nice and tight. I'm right here in the crotch. I'm going to lift. We can get that leg turned in the process, that's great. We may not get that, but we're going to try to lift him up in the air and return him hard to the mat. So again, heavy on that head, putting pressure on it. Slide off, grab your own bicep, twist, twist. Get that foot loaded up, jump, twist. Everything is nice and tight here. Hips are in, lift. That's one, grabbing your own bicep. Another one is, instead of grabbing your bicep, you actually come up over the top. So I'm here hitting him on the top of the head, and instead of coming underneath, which might be telecasting this a little bit, I just stay up over the top, bring your elbow to the sky, and grab your hand on the inside of his bicep, all the way around to his tricep. The motion with our feet and our shoulders is the same. I'm going to load this leg up, I'm going to turn my shoulders perpendicular, and I'm going to slide it by. Slide it by. Right here, come up over the top, grabbing that bicep, tricep, foot is loaded, start turning sideways, jump with this back foot, slide it by. Slide it by, using his momentum. A lot of times a guy will be pushing into you a little bit when you do this. He's pushing into you a little bit, it makes it very easy to just slide it by. Again, right back here in his crotch, getting ready for a lift in that situation. On either one of these, you know, if you've hit this once or twice in a match, a guy might feel it coming a little bit. And a lot of times I'll still be able to get to that corner, but then he starts to run his feet away from me. Let's take a look at the first one here, where I grab my bicep, push his head down, come, I get to right here, and he starts running his feet away from me a little bit. Well, I still got an opportunity to score here. I'm not going to let go of everything. I've got an angle, I've got this side of his body sealed off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down and try to get this leg, come into a single leg. So I'm going to tap down with my outside hand, right at the knee, use this forearm to push him over the top of it, and go right into a single. Okay, right into a single. So right here, I've thrown it by, got him nice and tight. So I'm going to stretch it a little bit. I'm going to go right to that single, drive over the top of it, push with this forearm, right into a single. Now we're right back to those single finishes. Right back to those single finishes. So, got two throw bys. Coming to your bicep, turning your shoulders perpendicular, getting around behind him, coming over the top of the arm, sliding it by. And in both cases, if he tries to walk away from us, we can come down to that single and use it as a setup to a leg attack.